I quote, a woman with a voice is by definition a strong woman, but the search to find that voice can be remarkably difficult, unquote, as says Melinda Gates. Every year, the adage, women run the world, is proven to be more true, and women all over the world are actually making significant contributions that are changing the world. In fact, women today hold the highest positions in every industry and carry the most incredible responsibilities in human history. Males are also increasingly coming forward to support women's empowerment initiatives, just as the women did in the 1800s. Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. I'm Hiraldadia, and joining us today are women who have not only accomplished themselves, but are on their path to make careers of many other men and women. Welcome to the show, Anu, Radhika, as well as Amisha.
Thank you.
We wish all the wonderful women a happy Women's Day, and let's continue to making a difference in society. Overall, if you see, it's no longer a fashionable thing to shrug off financial know-how. At some point in time, it was always seen that, okay, finance and women don't go together. And it's always left to the coyly, it's left coyly to the boys. Anu, let me come to you. What's your view on this?
Well, I think if I were to look back, and I'm sure the others would agree, this is a concept which is outdated. If I today see, the younger generation, and to give you, I've been 25 years into the market. When I came in, there were very few women. And today, the number of women is at least a 30% compared to what was 2 or 3%. So I think the concept is changing. And I feel very good about it. Even when I manage clients' money, earlier it was just the client who would sit for it. Now it's the women, especially the daughters, which, clients are kind of bringing to the fore that please let her be aware of what's the wealth and, how she should carry it forward. So I'm very, very happy with that change. I've seen it at one level and I'm hoping it percolates at all levels.
Absolutely. In fact, Amisha, coming to you as well, it's always been a male-dominated, industry in terms of financial markets, but things have changed. I mean, four of us women sitting over here who talk about markets, who breathe markets, right? How, according to you, are women now being viewed versus before?
So I think, as what you very rightly said, example is right in front of you. Like I am managing broking, investment banking, non-banking finance company, and a retail and distribution wealth arm. Radhika is grown and managing a fantastic mutual fund, taking care of the savings of millions. And Anu is advising on wealth. What more do you have to say when it is about the markets? But I must also tell you that not only from the perspective of what women have contributed, but as what Anu was telling, that I also see my clients, fathers in particular, also interested that their daughter child, their wife, now understand how the wealth has to be managed. But beyond that, as more women earn, it will be more imperative that they would like to convert their savings into wealth. So the awareness quotient is continuing and will continue.
Absolutely. And Radhika, coming to you, taking into consideration, usually from an investment perspective, mutual funds are the first step that usually anyone enters before even getting into markets directly, right? So how has financial literacy changed between, amongst women versus men now? Because yes, there was a gap earlier, but a lot of it hasn't filled in now.
I think it is getting better and better. It is a myth that women are not money managers. I do sessions with young women, older women, women from all kinds of socioeconomic and geographic backgrounds within the country. And I always start by reminding them that, the CFOs of our homes are our mothers, grandmothers, and they do an exemplary job of saving within limited resources, and they do it without, resorting to press releases and Excel spreadsheets. So I think the ingredients for saving, which is the beginning of investment, are already there. And the basics of investment, you don't need to be a fine stock picker to manage money. You need to have a sense of goal planning, a sense of risk. And I think women all have all those ingredients. As both Anu and Amisha said, I think when we talk to women, younger women are getting more aspirational, whether it is about their careers or whether it is about managing money. So there are so many more platforms today that talk about women investing, women being participants in the mutual fund industry, older women actually now taking an interest in the family's finances. So even someone of my mother's generation who perhaps left everything to my father, now they are interested. I think COVID has also made people realize that life is uncertain and there is an importance of partnership within a family's financial planning. So that has also brought more women to the fold. So I think the combination of that and younger women coming in. And thirdly, I think digital mediums making it more accessible, not only to be educated on finance, but to actually invest. So investing has become a lot more accessible and easier. I think these two, three things are very positive trends. Of course, we have a long way to go. But I truly believe if we can give women enough self-confidence that they can do this and it is not so complicated, you will see a remarkable change in my generation itself.
Absolutely. In fact, an interesting point in terms of gender diversity as well that I've been, reading about right now. And Amisha, I'd like to take that question with you as well, because I was just reading a report which indicated that gender diversity on the boards is increasing. Higher rated companies wherein they have a higher proportion of women on boards in most regions. And the correlation between credit quality and women on boards of directors is stronger, specifically in regions of North America and Europe. And then Latin America, Middle East, Africa, or Asia Pacific are catching up. And this was a report by Moody's as well. Being on the board, Amisha, what is the sense that you pick up and how are you seeing it around?
So one thing, we all women naturally inherit is a bit of curiosity. We are not overconfident gender, I can definitely tell you. We are hardworking and cautious gender. So we ask questions. But the most important part of asking questions is a lot many perspectives come on the table. We are not in a hurry to jump to any decision. You go back to a very simple decision of frankly choosing just a sari or a cloth, but we make choices, we make comparisons. And that particular trait is also very important in doing a risk return analysis of your decision. Because most of the board decisions involve capital allocation. Those will have far-reaching impact when this trait of women is brought on the board, and then it compels the board to discuss, rethink that decisions are sounder. And this is, of course, proven by the research. And I would just like to quote that while global average is just about 11%, that women are on the board, and so also for the senior CXO positions, there is an exception, and I'm very proud to share that recently I was with Sunita Reddy of Apollo Hospital, and on their board, more than 50% is women. And they are the only company who is on the Nifty 50 and have given a 18% CAGR in last 10 years against Nifty of just about 9 to 10%.
Absolutely. In fact, another interesting point I will take with you as well. A decade ago, I would talk about myself as well. And I mean, I started my financial market career with IIFL, right? And at that point in time, within the research team, probably 15 people, and I was the only woman, right? And it was absolutely difficult at that point in time to actually gauge what the other person is thinking about you, because people would not really be open to come speak to you, approach you. And that was always a difficult phase at that point in time, which obviously has changed now. You've been in the same firm as well for quite some time now. How have you seen that trend change in a broking firm like this?
So let me put it this way. I think it's just not the broking business, but it is across.
It's across categories, absolutely.
Yes. So when I started my career, there were very few women who went to the ring. And ring was like a second-class railway train where you had to hustle. What it made me realize, and just like both Amisha and Radhika have shared and what you have said, I was very underconfident when I entered the phase, okay, because I came into something where women were not represented. We've all come with our backgrounds where we don't know how people are assessing us. And I think that word which you said, that I don't know how people are taking to me, I think that is a very key point. And then somewhere I realized that being strong doesn't mean being loud. Being a feminist doesn't mean being, completely brash. I can bring my softness as strength. I can bring my understanding skills as strength. And I think that helped. And I think there is a new breed of men as well. You have to recognize that, from the stock market has been a very traditional industry when we entered in the 80s, late 80s. And from there to today, where we've got bosses and we've got colleagues who treat women far more respectfully than I think their seniors did. I think the whole scenario is changing. You just don't feel heard, you feel respected. And I think you have to give the men folk a lot of credit for that. I think for that, I have to give the mothers a lot of credit, because I think this generation of men have been brought up much better. So I think it is not just broking, but everywhere that women are feeling far more respected and heard. And I think a lot of kudos goes to that.
Absolutely. In fact, overall, now there is a lot of impetus in terms of how, women entrepreneurs can actually fill the gender gap and add to the growth of the country as well. In fact, another report, a study that was estimating that advancing women's equality in India could actually boost GDP by around $7 trillion by 2025. And that's a 16% jump as compared to business as usual scenario. Radhika, any comments on that?
Look, I think these are important statistics because I always believe that if you talk about diversity, diversity is going to be a big deal when we realize it contributes to the bottom line. And I think there are real cases for it contributing to the bottom line. I mean, you already talked about GDP, but if I were to extend the point that Amisha made, I think more women on boards builds better boards. She quoted some examples. I share some of my own. But I think, remember that we cater to a consumer base today. Most of us are in consumer businesses. We cater to a consumer base that is 50% women. And if there's one thing that the listing of businesses like Nykaa should tell you, women are, by the way, a very important and powerful economic opportunity. Now, finally, your professional base and your management base has to reflect the diversity of your consumer base, not just, by the way, in gender, but in age, in demographic, in religion, all of that. So diversity actually builds better businesses, it builds better boards. And the day we realize that, I think diversity will be top of mind, because corporates are not social organizations. We finally move when profitability moves. And when you realize that more women on boards and more women in management builds better companies, you will get there. Incidentally, by the way, we are 30% of women in Edelweiss asset management and 30% of women in senior management, including a head of risk, chief operating officer. And I truly think it builds a better culture and a better floor, and it has led to very good results.
Absolutely. And overall, how do you think, in terms of access to finance, that's always been considered as a barrier for women, which has again obviously changed over the last couple of years. Beyond government schemes that mainly target low-level women entrepreneurs, how has the change been with VCs, banks, etc., according to you, Anu?
So I feel basically, as Radhika just said, that as women are earning and their capability to kind of put in their own money and their own risk at place, I think the whole scenario is becoming more equitable. Very honestly, I would take a very funny stance to it that probably after a few years, maybe a decade or so, you will have to celebrate Men's Day instead of Women's Day, because that will need to be the species to be protected and improved upon. So it goes without saying that the younger generation, in all sense of the word, every new generation on the women's side is contributing much more strongly to the economy, to the cultural side. So completely agree with what you say.
Right. And Amisha, when you see, women coming to you or men coming to you, From a risk-taking ability, would you say women are higher risk takers versus men?
I don't think so.
Mm.
Women are a little more rational thinker, is what I feel generally across, because as what Radhika said, even at PL, we have about 34% women representation within our workforce. So whether it is research or even institutional sales or within wealth distribution or at HR, marketing, across the functions, of course, compliance, we have women heading plus women part of our decision making. But I think, no, I wouldn't say they are more risk taking by their nature. And they are a little conservative, but I think that is quite good both for their own careers as well as in their financial journey also.
Right. And overall, if you see in terms of, usually every year there is a theme which goes around in terms of Women's Day. This year, they're celebrating digital, which is innovation and technology for gender equality. Radhika, coming to you with women and technology, how are you seeing that equation as of today? And do you think it's actually running up well in terms of the inclusivity that is needed?
Ironically, I'm a computer science engineer, and
Hmm.
in my early days, I used to run women in computer science at Penn because there were so few women engineers. So it's good to see this question being asked. Look, I think technology plays a very powerful role in terms of inclusion. One of the things that technology is doing as far as financial services is providing more access and democratizing access to financial instruments, whether it is lending or whether it is asset management and investment products. So suddenly, in the old days, you needed some agent or some guy to come help you with your investments. You were not really sure as a woman, do I want to talk to that guy? Now, with online tools, with so much of this available, with programs like these, with so much outreach from media, I think technology is making access much easier for women. So it can continue to play a very, very powerful role. And on a professional side, by the way, you're seeing a lot of women do very good work in fintech and building technology businesses. So on both sides, I think technology is playing a very powerful role.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, a lot of times when I'm just, screening through some reels, etc., you actually see women who are 50, 60, 70, probably who've not been educated, come from the tier 2, tier 3 cities, who are also making a lot of videos by giving out their skills in the form of cooking, etc., recipes. And that's something which is actual empowerment, right? Anu, how do you see that the digital age changing? Because it's not only the young people, the teenagers or the Gen X or Gen Zs who are actually adapting to it, but it's even our parents, grandparents who are adapting to technology.
Yes, completely. So what I basically feel is the quest to learn something new is there in women, and that goes across. I'll take a personal example. My father and mother both were exposed to the smartphones very late in their life. While my father still needed help to send a WhatsApp or to access something, my mom took on to it in a jiffy, and she was the one who was making the groups and sending stuff. So I completely agree, and it is very empowering to see women share, whether it's on any of the platforms as reels, their skill sets. And just like Radhika was saying, both our head of digital and our CTO, both of them are women. And I think it is just that hunger for knowledge and that hunger for knowing something new, which drives women to take on to any quest. And, I think where it helps is that they've always had to work a little harder to get what the men folk have got, especially the generation before us. And when they know that even if it's technology, that confidence is there, that even if I try a little bit harder, even if it's alien ground, I think I will learn faster. And that's what gives them that added momentum, which is helping. And you're saying what you're saying across board for all skill sets.
Absolutely. In fact, I was talking to Divya at Byju's as well the other day, and what she was telling me was, apart from educating students, this year they are expecting 20,000 mothers to appear for the 10th standard exams. And that's something which is actually telling you that, yes, that quest to learn, the quest to actually gain knowledge is actually improving. Amisha, any comments on, how digital literacy is panning out?
So I would like to highlight, digital literacy, even if we just take from business perspective, that whether you're sitting somewhere in Jaipur, somewhere in Nashik, somewhere in, any part of India, and if you have any skill, then there are businesses which have started just on digital medium, for example, Instagram. And then there are brands which have come out, which are Insta-led brands, and all of us are now using it. And for example, a niche hair, in case you have heard about it, and for example, a loom, and there are many more examples. So how this digital medium have really empowered those women, particularly to run their businesses, because they embraced it. There are many examples of influencers, like, very well-known example of a Masu Minawala. This is completely giving run for their money to, for Deepika or anybody, and to go on a red carpet. Her entire presence and career is through digital media. So I think this embracing digital technology is actually helping them do their business and in turn contribute to the economy. It's just not about empowerment. It's actually doing their business.
Absolutely. And I think overall, a lot of facets that are changing as well. So before we end this conversation, one comment I want from the three of you is, Radhika, coming to you, we usually ask for a lot of advice as to what is the advice would you like to give a woman entrepreneur, a girl who is growing in business. But with that, what is that one advice that you would want to give a man or a boy of today to go support a woman entrepreneur?
Look, I think to women entrepreneurs, I say, listen to your inner voice, because your inner voice is one that wants to be ambitious, that knows everything. You don't need any advice. You just need to listen to your inner voice. And to people around women entrepreneurs, I would say just enable her to listen to her inner voice. Don't drown out that voice. I think many of the issues that women have as far as career, as far as investing, are ones of confidence. I think Anu talked about her own journey. I think all of us have stories of lack of confidence. So just let her listen to her inner voice.
Absolutely. And what would that advice be to a boy or a man who has to support the woman?
Exactly that. Let her listen to her inner voice, because women are as ambitious as men are. The ambition just has a different form. It has different challenges, but just let that inner voice fly.
Absolutely. Anu, what would you have to say to women who are actually moving ahead in their career curve and the support that they need?
See, I basically feel that women at some time decide that, okay, if I have to take part in this hustle, I have to be a stronger person. In fact, a lot of them try to imitate men and become these stronger versions of themselves. They have this demeanor. But I think retaining your softness and retaining that inner core of femininity, instead of being that feminist, that feminism is important, where you carry that to every part of your life, whether it is personal or whether it is your business. And I think that makes the business also very well-rounded. And for the males to realize that that is the rounded part of business, which it will become, because most of these businesses are now client-facing in one form or the other. Having a softer person along with you is only going to make the firm stronger. That realization is setting in. I think we at 361 are realizing that most of our salespeople are in fact 50% women. I think that makes a lot of difference in at least anything which is client facing.
Very well put. And Amisha, your 2 bits of advice to both the breeds, I would say, as of now. Which needs to actually become one soon.
Sure. So to women in particular, I would say that there will be a phase, when you are in your 30s, that you are juggling between your career, your kid, and of course, your personal life. But if you really go through that bit of pain, a bit of stress, which it is not impossible to go through, you then pass to a phase which is extremely respectful. And in case you tumble down during this period and you think that let's me take an easy way out of my career, I think that a lot will have to repent. So first thing is that if somebody can do it, you can definitely do it.
Absolutely.
And for the men, I would say that I am the brightest example of how, frankly, my husband always lived my dreams. And I was never felt in expressing my dreams, ever felt belittled that, oh, you want to think so much? No, he was always there to listen to that. I think that is more than enough for us to perform. And that's what I will tell all the men, that you need to give just the patient hearing to the dreams of a woman. Rest, she'll find a way.
Absolutely. We'll find our way. And that's what the journey looks like. Thank you, ladies, so much for joining us on this show. In fact, on this International Women's Day, let's all celebrate the incredible women in our lives, whether they are our mother, daughters, your wife, and let's show our admiration for their accomplishments and dedication to make this world a better place. Thank you all for joining in.